President and Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines, is Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Secretary of National Defense, Honorable Delfin Negrillo Lorenzana. Military VIPs, Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Andres C. Centino, Armed Forces of the Philippines. Commanding General, Philippine Army, General Romeo S. Bronner Jr., Armed Forces of the Philippines. Commander ARISCOM, Major General Fernando V. Filipe, Philippine Army. Group Commander, 9th Regional Community Defense Group, Colonel Patricio S. Tomales, Infantry, General Staff Corps, Philippine Army. Commissioned Officer, 92nd Zamboanga del Norte Community Defense Center, Major Eladio V. Lumantas, Civil Engineer, Philippine Army. President, Jose Rizal Memorial State University System, Dr. Dailinda R. Lapot. National Service Training Program Director, Dr. Reynold J. Daimiel. National Service Training Program Unit Head, Dr. Noel G. Lopeselio, Commandant Jeremy Siu, Army ROTC Unit Major, Eladio V. Lumantas, Civil Engineer, Philippine Army. Assistant Commandant 2nd Lieutenant Nicanor B. Obnimaga, Reserve, Philippine Army. Chief Clerk Corporal Roderick C. Acoimo, Infantry, Philippine Army. Tactical Officer Captain Cesar C. Bala, Reserve, Philippine Army. 2nd Lieutenant Jupiter M. Villarus, Reserve, Philippine Army. Senior Tactical NCOs or Non-Commissioned Officers, Reservist, Admin NCO, Sergeant Journal R. Lapot, Reserve, Philippine Army. Tactical NCOs or Non-Commissioned Officers, Reservist, Private First Class John Ray A. Maglasang Infantry, Philippine Army. Staff Sergeant Gerald Rich H. Soto, Reserve, Philippine Army. Staff Sergeant Michael Ray Elvin S. Guerreros, Reserve, Philippine Army. Sergeant Nancy A. Aranjuez, Reserve, Philippine Army. Sergeant Maynard O. Comisilia, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Rodel J. Patangan, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Richie A. De La Rosa, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Charlene A. Tagapan, Reserve, Philippine Army. Graduate Military Assistant or JMA. Private Adams N. Sumalpong, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Nilo B. Lagradelia, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Jefferson Paglinawan, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Reco Jack J. Tawataw, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Glenmar J. Olinan, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Shahara May M. Halin, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Jezreel M. Pascolado, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Vincent Jubilee J. Cadano, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Ray R. Dayao, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private John Ray P. Valladares, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Joven Ray E. Sakal, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private John Fritz C. Cuenca, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private John Paul P. Hurong, Reserve, Philippine Army. Private Michelle B. Andicoy, Reserve Philippine Army. Private Vance Alistair L. Pagasian, Reserve Philippine Army. Private Mark Hell is Lagamon, Reserve Philippine Army. Private Glycel Faith D. Carino, Reserve Philippine Army. Private Glyza Claire C. Canuoy, Reserve Philippine Army. Private Giseline Elopre, Reserve Philippine Army. Private Mibel B. Singkay, Reserve Philippine Army. BDE Corps Commander Cadet Colonel J. P. Montero Ramos, ROTC First Class. Exo-Disciplinary Officer Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Roderick L. Cadorna, ROTC First Class. BDAS-1 Adjutant Officer Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Bless T. Manlupig, ROTC First Class. BDAS-2 Intelligence Officer Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Ronel V. Bailon, ROTC First Class. BDAS-3 Operation Officer Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Ramel P. Samson, ROTC First Class. BDAS-4 Logistic Officer Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Sheila May P. Azores, ROTC First Class. BDAS-7 Liaison Officer Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Jamaica S. Lagudas, ROTC First Class. 1st BN Commander Cadet Lieutenant Jumarit T. Osabel, ROTC First Class. 2nd BN Commander Cadet Lieutenant Colonel G. Ford C. Ferregora, ROTC First Class. 1st BN EXO Disciplinary Cadet Major John Mark T. Clemenia, ROTC First Class. BNS-1 Adjutant Cadet Major Kathleen Rose A. Apau, ROTC First Class. BNS-2 Intelligence Cadet Major Jericho T. Osabel, ROTC First Class. BNS-3 Operation Cadet Major Jason A. Hamarolin, ROTC First Class. BNS-4 Logistic Cadet Major Maria Alona Jane B. Alfon, ROTC First Class. BNS-7 Liaison Cadet Major Chinley R. Selva, ROTC First Class. 2nd BN EXO Disciplinary Cadet Major Brian P. Banuelos, ROTC First Class. BNS-1 Adjutant Cadet Major Rubilin B. Magnawong, ROTC First Class. BNS-2 Intelligence Cadet Major Hansel D. Zuzobrado, ROTC First Class. BNS-3 Operation Cadet Major Raymark O. Lakay, ROTC First Class. BNS-4 Logistic Cadet Major Mirijoy C. Maghinay, ROTC First Class. BNS-7 Liaison Cadet Major Ruela Bernadette B. Kinlug, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Miricris A. Lidama, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Aaron J. Kalasang, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Stephen J. If Takliad, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Jovenal P. Cateloc, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Christian J. Sardani, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Arian Faye N. Palangan, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Baby Janela O. Cañete, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Gino A. Carbonella, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Kent O. Dampayla, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Remart S. Anio, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Brittany D. Agit, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Rickman V. Cabanag, ROTC First Class. Cadet Major Mark Jen L. Proceso, ROTC First Class. Cadet Captain Lister V. D. Ikaw, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Richard S. Zamoranos, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Joseph B. Miral, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Erwin T. Palomares, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Aurelio L. Flores Jr., ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Kent Roy F. Maghanoy, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Rowan Vincent A. Sumanduran, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Jefferson N. Makiling, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Blaze Jason H. Iting, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain May Angel S. Conato, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Remar B. Bimos, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain June Kenneth D. Desierdo, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Jonathan D. Gumanad, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Kevin M. Delicano, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Lenchi Kyle S. Abapo, ROTC Second Class. Cadet Captain Lovely Jane T. Maginsay, Cadet Captain Lovely Jane T. Maginsay. Military professionalism. Men who adopt the profession of arms submit their own free will to the law of perpetual constraints of their own accord. They reject their right to live where they choose, to say what they think, to dress as they like from the moment they became soldiers. It needs but an order to settle them in this place, to move them to that, to separate them from their families and dislocate their normal lives in the world of command. They must rise, march, run, endure bad weather, and go out without sleep or food, be isolated in some distant post, work until they drop. They have ceased to be master of their own fate. If they drop on their tracks, their ashes shall be scattered at the four winds. That is all part and parcel of their job. Pledge of loyalty. If you work for a man in heaven's name, work for him. Speak well of him and stand by the institution that he represents. Remember, an ounce of the loyalty is worth a pound of cleverness. If you must growl, condemn, and eternally find fault, why not resign your position? And when you are in the outside, dumb to your heart's contents, but as long as you are a part of this institution, do not condemn it. If you do, the first high wind that comes along will blow you away, and probably you'll never know why. Military courtesy. An act of politeness, civility, and respect that a personnel in the military organization accord to one another. Military discipline. It is a state of order and obedience existing within a command. Military leadership. It is the process of influencing men in such a manner as to accomplish the mission. Military secrecy. What you see, what you hear, when you leave it here. Salute is the highest form of courtesy. 11 General Orders. 1. To take charge of this post and all government property in view. 2. To walk my post in a military manner, keeping always on alert and observing everything that takes place within sight or hearing. 3. To report all violation of orders I am instructed to enforce. 4. To repeat all calls from posts more distant from the guardhouse than my own. 5. To quit my post only when properly relieved. 6. To receive, obey, and pass on the sentinel who relieves me all orders from the commanding officer, officer of the day, and non-commissioned officer of the guard only. 7. To talk to no one except in line of duty. 8. To give the alarm in case of fire or disorder. 9. To call the commander of the guard in any case not covered by instruction. 10. To salute all officers, colors, and standard not cased. 11. To be especially watchful at night and during the time of challenging to challenge all persons on or near my post and to allow no one to pass without proper authority.